I hope the food was satisfactory. All right. Okay. Well, good evening. Welcome to the 34th Annual Quill Awards ceremony at Mercy College. My name is Louis Grasso, and I manage the Media Studies program here. You know, the program is actually 35 years old. It started back in 1983. It took a year for the Quill Awards ceremony to start, but I wasn't working here back then, so it's really not my fault. Each year at the ceremony, we honor a professional from the field, an outstanding alum, and students for excellence in their coursework. But at this time, I'd like to invite the Provost and Vice President of Mercy College, Dr. Jose Herrera, to welcome you on behalf of the college. Please give a warm Media Studies welcome to Dr. Jose Herrera.
Thank you, Lou. On behalf of President Hall, who sends his regrets, he just came back from New Hampshire. I welcome you to Mercy College. Those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. For those of you who've been here a while, it feels good, doesn't it? I hope that as we begin this sort of celebration season that you take stock of what you've already done and what you will do in the future. For those of you who are students, it's a wonderful time to be reflective about what it is that school has meant for you, what these awards are actually meaning, and what is in front of you as your careers. So for some of you, I see that there's some loved ones or friends that are joining you. That's wonderful. Thank you for coming. We have Sarah Lee Kessler, thank you for coming and presenting. I think this is a wonderful opportunity to showcase our institution, to make sure that you understand that Mercy College has some wonderful students, some wonderful families, and I wish you a great success in this award ceremony. Thank you, Lou.
Thank you, Dr. Herrera. The Media Studies program is in the Department of Communication and the Arts. And the Department of Communication and the Arts is organized within the School of Liberal Arts. I'd like to invite the Dean of the School of Liberal Arts. Please welcome Dr. Tamara Joshi.
Thank you, Professor Grasso. Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. It's a wonderful evening. The sun just came out a few hours ago, so that was a thrill to see after some very dreary days weather-wise. And I do want to welcome everyone on behalf of the School of Liberal Arts, our distinguished guests, faculty, students, staff members who are here. And it really is an exciting event. It's an exciting evening to honor achievement and to, in fact, inspire all of us to achieve our goals. The energy in this room is always impressive, and I would also say equally impressive is the collective sense of a Mercy community. That really does come through. It's very palpable at the college. For students, I know the hard work you've put into your academic year. As with anything worth doing in life, it requires commitment, dedication, and sacrifice. So these awards are important, and even more so because your professors have chosen you to honor. The heart and soul of the Academy is the dynamic between faculty and student, teaching and learning, in fact, and that's what we're celebrating tonight. So in addition to celebrating the achievements of you wonderful students, I'd like to recognize the hard work of our equally wonderful faculty. Those professors who share their expertise every day and who pass on their wisdom to launch a new generation. So if you wouldn't mind, faculty, to stand and be recognized. Students, will you join me? And guests, join me in recognizing the wonderful faculty at Mercy. And could we just have a special second round of applause for Professor Lou Grasso, who makes this award event so special. So without further ado, I turn it back to Professor Grasso. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean Joshi. Sarah Lee Kessler, radio and TV anchor and reporter, documentary producer, college professor, actor, advocate, humanitarian. Born in Texas and raised in Ohio, Ms. Kessler attended the school her father attended, the University of Texas, where she specialized in radio, television, and film. Coming from a family of doctors, it may have seemed odd that Ms. Kessler pursued a media route. However, this field became her passion. In fact, she had changed her major 5 times before she came to this one, and still she finished her degree in 4 years in 1 semester, right? After college, Ms. Kessler started her career at a small station in Texas on the night before President Lyndon Johnson passed away. So much for training, Ms. Kessler found herself immersed in news gathering and on-air activities at a feverish pitch on her first day. Obviously, things worked out because a few years later, Sarah Lee Kessler started at WOR TV Channel 9, where she co-anchored the news and eventually solo anchored the news and became principal writer for the news at noon. During this period, she produced 2 Emmy Award-winning documentaries and received a 3rd Emmy Award for a live coverage of the World Trade Center bombing in 1993, while first responders listened to her live reports to locate and rescue people from the building. After her 17-year tenure at WOR, Ms. Kessler turned her career to radio at 710 AM and iHeartRadio, where she's currently working. She started her own communication company where she writes and reports anchors for radio and TV, creates internet programming, does voiceovers, radio commercials, numerous other producing and production activities. Other notable accomplishments include movies she has appeared in, fictional narratives such as Without a Trace and Turk, 182 in the 1980s, okay, and Double Whammy in 2001. Sarah Lee Kessler produced a bi-weekly series on New Jersey News Public TV called Health Watch. She has also worked as a college professor, and all of this in addition to being a wife to her husband Robert Miller and mother to her daughter Rebecca and son Jonathan, who Jonathan's here as well today. But here to tell you more about her experiences is this year's Quill Award recipient for professional achievement. Please give a warm media studies welcome to Ms. Sarah Lee Kessler. I hope I didn't mangle your career.
You did great.
Okay.
Oh, do we get to pose?
Yeah, let's get to pose.
Terrific.
Because if you run out early. All right, thanks. The husband.
Another one?
The husband.
She got the name right.
Wait. A single shot too? Thank you.
After 35 years of
It's
marriage.
the news anchor in me. Women like being shot high. Hold the camera higher, tilt down.
You're so right.
I know. Anyway, good evening. What a wonderful introduction, Lou. That was a lot of fun posing with you for the Quill Award. I am delighted to be here, and I'm so honored to be recognized by Mercy College and the Media Studies program, and to be the latest recipient of a Quill Award. It's especially gratifying because of my background. Because, you see, I was born with 3 traits that got me in trouble from the very beginning: a natural curiosity, a memory for details, and a propensity for storytelling. Here's an example, and I think you'll get the idea. My dad was a doctor, so when I was 6, I went to him and I said, "Dad, how are babies born?" And instead of getting the standard stork story, I got ova and sperm and 9 months gestation and breastfeeding. And I couldn't wait to share this information with my ballet class, which I, in fact, did share. And I got kicked out. And my dad got a really angry phone call, real angry. And you probably think that upset me, but actually it didn't. Quite the opposite. I mean, it was my first experience with the power of words and the lure of the limelight and the attention of a very appreciative audience. All those little kids learning all these fascinating details that they then shared with their folks. Hey, Mom, look what I learned in ballet class. So anyway, I was hooked, and my career path was well set and would be determined pretty much by that one incident. As a result, I've had the privilege and I've had the great honor of being a professional storyteller, a broadcast journalist since my University of Texas days, where I did, after 5 attempts with a major, managed to get a degree in radio, TV, film, which is your equivalent of media studies. We didn't have anything that sounded like such a conglomeration back then. It was radio/TV/film. And that's what it still is today at UT for old time's sake. And then I went to grad school in journalism. So that would have been my 6th major. At any rate, all my TV and radio news stories over the years, whether they involve political corruption or terrorism or wars in the Middle East or health trends, always focus on people. They tend to focus on people because, honestly, when you look at news and when you look at what interests you, it's what other people are saying. It's what other people think. And so I try to frame all my stories in a way that people can say, how does this development affect me? How is it going to impact my life? Or how can I use this information to protect myself or to better myself? You all know about 9/11 and the biggest terrorist attack on America, of course, but there was an earlier attack that Lou mentioned on the World Trade Center 25 years ago. I was on the air live anchoring the news for WWOR-TV when a truck filled with explosives went off in the underground parking garage, literally when I was on the air. There was panic, and those of you who were around at the time will remember thousands of people covered in soot and white ash and asbestos fleeing from the building. Other people were trapped on the upper floors, and every television station in New York was carrying it when they suddenly went off the air. Their transmitters failed because their transmitters were located atop the World Trade Center. Channel 9's transmitter was located on the Empire State Building because we had not yet made the move. We were behind the times. And because of that decision and that procrastination, really, on the part of my company, we managed to stay on the air. And we were the only station on the air in the entire nation. And we were carried live by CNN for 4 hours. And I was on the air all of those hours, all by myself, ad-libbing, no script, talking to the viewers, getting whatever information I could get over the phone. Remember, it was 25 years ago, so it's not like I had, my iPad. It's not like I had, my iPhone. It wasn't like that back then. It was pretty rudimentary. And being on the air and knowing the situation that I was in delivering this information, I really felt the impact and very much aware of my responsibility to try to help the people who were trapped. I watched in shock, as did the entire world, as people were breaking windows and jumping to their deaths, literally. Do you remember that footage? If you've ever seen it, you'll never forget it. I urged viewers, anybody who could see us, who could hear us, not to jump and to call Channel 9 with their locations. I told them to keep low to the ground, to wet some sort of rag, take off their shirt, whatever, wet it, put it over your nose, put it over your mouth, crawl to an exit area, and wait for help to arrive. EMS, police, and dispatchers were, as Lou said, watching my broadcast, and they did send help, and they did save numerous lives. And that was one of my proudest moments as a broadcaster, because on that day, I knew I helped save lives. I've had that opportunity too as a news reporter, although in a very different way. When I was the health and medical correspondent at New Jersey Public Television for 15 years after leaving Channel 9, my husband, Robert Miller, who's with us, got a phone call that would save a life. He had registered as a bone marrow donor 10 years before to save the life of a young woman who was going to die without a transplant. One of these 11th hour appeals: help me, sign up, be tested, do a saliva swab, get a blood test. Maybe you'll be the donor who'll save my life. And so, he and Howard Miller, my brother, they both went and were tested for this young lady named Allison. Neither one was a match, but 10 years later, Robert got a phone call that he was a perfect match for a young man in Illinois, your age, who would die without his bone marrow. Perfect match. So Robert said, you've done all these stories about these 11th hour appeals. You should do something from the donor's point of view. Why does somebody want to be a donor? What does a donor go through? What does it mean to be a donor? Why do they do it? And I said, you want me to follow you around and tell your story? And he said, absolutely. So I asked my news director. My news director thought this was a very good idea. So I did do the story, and it was wildly popular and well received. And I turned it into a documentary and added 12 more donors that I found across the nation and flew around the country, gathering and telling their stories. And as a result of that reporting, the National Bone Marrow Registry got thousands of phone calls from people who wanted to save lives. So that's the kind of reporting that I really love to do. That was called The Gift of Life, and for me it was a gift of life, because that's one of the things you can do when you do my job. You probably don't think about that too much as students, about what you can do with this very powerful instrument that's right in front of me now, the microphone, but there is a lot you can do. And it doesn't have to be under the guise of doing an editorial or doing commentary. It can simply be about doing your job and reporting the news. I've also reported on a lot of controversial topics, including the role of Israel in the Middle East. I was there in 1988 doing a 10-part series when bullets flew over my head, literally, in Gaza. I was in the Jabalia refugee camp. I reported the truth, that everything was calm until I showed up with a camera crew. Nothing was happening. The people were calm. There was no demonstration. No one was rioting. It was our presence that triggered made-for-TV violence. Tire burning, people shooting at us, even though we had a car that was clearly labeled journalist and TV and that sort of thing. Well, when that story aired on Channel 9, and I said that it was our presence that triggered this violence, I was flooded with phone calls and letters. And half the people who were angry with me said, you are an obvious anti-Semite. By the way, I'm the one who ordered the kosher food. And the other half said, you're obviously a tool for Israel. So I felt pretty good about that, because, half the people were angry at me for one reason, the other half for the opposite reason. So, I felt like I'd done pretty balanced reporting. Everyone was upset. Today, as a veteran broadcast journalist, I often get to choose what I cover, and I just naturally gravitate towards health topics, including autism and breakthrough medical treatments for NBC News Radio 710 WOR, iHeartRadio, where I work now, because I think these types of stories do some good. And as long as I have that microphone I was just talking about, I'm pretty committed to trying to use it to help other people when I can. And that brings me to today and what to expect. What you've learned in the media studies program here at Mercy and the skills you've acquired are going to serve you well as you navigate the most turbulent times I've seen as a journalist. Broadcast journalism was once considered such a well-respected profession that Walter Cronkite, who back in the day was the anchorman for CBS News, was called Uncle Walter by virtually everybody. And poll after poll showed that he was among the most trusted people in America. Well, that's not true today, is it? If you're honest with yourself, those budding how many of you are budding journalists? How many of you? You can raise your hands high, don't be embarrassed. I'm one too. Today, journalists are under constant assault. So I'm going to talk to this table over here. We've got a lot of budding journalists. Journalists are under constant assault from politicians, from spammers, from Russian bots who routinely refer to news reports as what? Fake news. There it is, that term that I hadn't heard until the last election. Fake news. Some of the best journalists in the business are being called liars. CNN, the New York Times, NBC News, the Washington Post, they're all on a presidential hit list of sorts. All you have to do is check out President Trump's Twitter feed at 4 a.m. every day to see what I'm talking about, and I do check it out every day at 4 a.m., and he is busy. The First Amendment itself is under attack. Instead of journalism being viewed as the fourth branch of government, which was how it was envisioned by Thomas Jefferson, and as an essential component of our democracy system of checks and balances, millions of Americans now buy the argument and the rhetoric that journalism is untrustworthy and unreliable. And that is very disheartening to professional journalists like me, whose careers have always depended on double-checking every fact, every source, and working hard to deliver accurate information and to maintain our integrity. It's especially upsetting when you see people who call themselves journalists working for quasi-media outlets, disseminating inaccurate, untrustworthy information. You may know that Mark Zuckerberg is now saying that that's the biggest challenge for Facebook, which has been widely criticized for disseminating false news. He says he's working on fixing it. So how does this relate to you, students who will one day be joining me, hopefully, as a peer, as a broadcasting colleague, or a newspaper colleague? What it's going to mean for you is that you are going to have to work harder than ever to demonstrate your commitment to getting your facts straight. And it may also mean having the guts to say no to fronting Orwellian-type promos that you may have seen, like the ones trotted out on 170 Sinclair-owned TV stations over the past few days, all across the country, in which television anchors, news anchors, were given identical scripts, and they warned viewers to beware of false news and the danger it poses to democracy. Has anybody seen it? Anybody? Who's seen it? Okay, you've seen it. Isn't it shocking? It's absolutely Orwellian. It so reminds me of 1984 or Stepford Wives or something like that. It's just incredible. This montage shows anchors from all over the country finishing each other's sentences. You know, one anchor says one word and the other one from across the country says the next. It's identical verbiage. These are called must-runs that were ordered by Sinclair TV, which, by the way, is in talks now to buy Tribune. And if so, that would, they would own outlets in New York City, in Chicago, in Los Angeles. They would own outlets in 3/4 of the country, which is pretty horrifying. Because when you dictate how the news should be covered and when you use your news anchors as shills, there's something terribly wrong with that. So you may find yourself in a position one day having to step up to management and say, hey, this isn't journalism, this is BS, and I'm going to call you out on it, and I'm not going to do it. Unfortunately, the anchors at these Sinclair stations did do it, even though many of them objected because they were afraid they'd lose their jobs. But sometimes, hey, it's better to walk away, right? Better to walk away from a job that's just not right from an ethics standpoint. I was never asked as a news anchor to deliver commentary that wasn't labeled clearly as such. But in 1978, I was asked to lose weight for a reporting job in Washington, D.C. That was pretty awful. And I was hired after I'd lost 28 pounds. Isn't that ridiculous? Insulting. In Austin, Texas, in the mid-'70s, I was told by my TV news director to make sure that I didn't look too pretty because that would be intimidating to the women viewers in the audience. I was the first female anchor in Austin, Texas, and I was 22 years old. And he was very concerned about how I'd be perceived. A year later, when I asked this same boss for a pay raise because I really couldn't live on $100 a week, I tried, but it just was not doable. He told me, you don't need a raise because your dad's a doctor and he's probably sending you money anyway. And besides that, you have guys who take you out on dates. Why do you need more money? I mean, that was pretty presumptuous all the way around. And I didn't even know what to say to that. I mean, I'm making $2.50 an hour. And he's basically telling me I'm lucky to be on the air. You know, I'm doing radio, I'm doing TV, I'm running around with a camera. I'm shooting, we didn't have video back then, I'm shooting film, I'm editing the film, I'm doing everything. Pretty much everything but sweeping the floor. And I couldn't get a raise. But grudgingly, he finally did give me a raise because I was so adamant about it. I got 25 cents. And that was enough to keep me there for 6 more months. And then I went to San Antonio, where I was paid double the salary, and I thought I'd hit the jackpot. I'd gone from $6,000 a year to $12,000. Wow. So anyhow, you probably want to know about the Me Too stuff. Did I ever experience any of that on the job? Well, as a matter of fact, I did. I'm not going to tell you all of my anecdotes, but I will tell you one. When I refused to date a TV news producer at one of the television stations where I work, and I'm not going to say which one, he went into the executive producer and he said, Sarah Lee's incompetent. You need to get rid of her. You should fire her. She's no good. She's terrible. I lost my job. Okay? I had no defense against that. It was his word against mine. What am I going to tell the executive producer, that he's hitting on me? I tried. You know, he said, oh, that's just Dan. You know what I mean? That's what I got. So, yeah, I've been through that too. Then there were pay parity issues that I faced along the way. Do you even know what the deal is with pay parity issues? I guess, you know, you hear about it sometimes that female actresses make far less than their male counterparts. Any of you familiar with the show The Crown? Right? So you know that the actress who's portraying Queen Elizabeth got paid a whole lot less than the guy who portrayed her husband on the show? You know, this happens a lot. So I thought that I should get the same salary as my male co-anchor at Channel 9. He was earning 50% more. And I didn't think that was fair for a whole lot of reasons, not the least of which is we did the same job except that I was the principal writer, not he. And I was a reporter in addition to being an anchor. And I worked many more hours than he because I had more responsibilities. And I fought hard for pay parity, and I did prove my worth, but it took me a year to get pay parity, but I didn't give up. I anchored the news at Channel 9 for 17 years through 5 different station owners and changes of management. And any of you in media know that that is a very long time at any one place, especially in a business that's so fluid. I found it necessary to reinvent myself time after time, starting when I parted ways with Channel 9. I've done so a number of times over the years, reinvented myself, first starting my own production company and media company called Kessler Communications, through which I did do and still do media training, media production, public relations, crisis communications, a lot of voiceover work, and teaching at the college level. The skills you learn in media, whether behind the camera or as a writer or on-air talent, are very marketable. And they're very transferable, and this is a good major for that reason. You can easily do PR because you get press releases and pitches every single day. So you know what news reporters are looking for, you know what works and doesn't work. You can teach experts and business people how to be interviewed by someone like you because you are you. And what do you do every day? You interview people in order to get the news. You can produce videos because your news stories are videos, essentially. And you can do voiceover work because, again, you have a trained voice. This is what you do. You've been on the air. So from my experience, I would encourage you to explore all the options you have in media. Learn how to do every job you can do. Learn how to be the best writer you can be, the best producer you can be, and be flexible because, as I said, the business is in a constant state of flux, and you need to be prepared to go with the flow wherever that flow goes. It's an exciting field, media studies, and one that's allowed me the opportunity to meet new people, to travel, and to explore new ideas. And if you're like me, you chose your major because you're curious about every single thing around you, and your favorite question is, why? And to that I say, why not? If your idea of excitement is learning something new every day, you will learn something new, and you'll never be at a loss for words, whether on a job interview, at a cocktail party, or speaking to a future in-law. So I wish you the very best of luck. I applaud you on the choices you've made, and I can't wait to see what you do on your journeys. Thank you very much.
Wow, that's a real slice of reality, right? We heard it here first.
They're not unfamiliar men.
That's husband and brother and son. Thomas Fenn graduated from Mercy College's Media Studies program with a concentration in journalism back in 2012. Currently, he is the production director at WCBS 880 Radio and imaging director for the New York Yankees network at the same station. Tom edits audio for commercials, writes copy, procures talent for voiceovers, selects music, and works in tandem with the sales department. He chose Mercy College back in 2008 because a friend from another major here at the college told him we had a program in this field. Tom says he's always been interested in media for as long as he could remember. And what specifically he didn't know, nor did he care for that matter, as long as he was involved on the production side of the industry. While in high school, Tom interned in radio and was looking for a school that supported career initiatives at the college level. In dealing with career challenges, he said he was concerned about making the transition from sports radio to news radio, and that did take some preparation. Tom credits his journalism classes with Professor Parada, which really helped him dissect and understand the elements which make up different styles of writing. When asked about his future aspirations, Tom says he'd like to become news director at some point, but for now, he's happy continuing to learn and practice in his current position. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's Quill Award for Outstanding Alumna goes to Thomas Fenn.
All right. Very cool. Absolutely. Watch people get this all the time. Now I get one.
One more.
I We'll get you later. Thank you. I'll put it here for you. You don't have to speak that long. Oh, thank you. Well, thank you. It's kind of cool I should be up here on this end. Normally I'm like you guys for 4 years, watching everybody. And, you know, I got to say, it's a great honor. Mercy was great to me, especially the Media Studies program. There's been nothing better, I think, in college than the Media Studies program here at Mercy. Because you know what it is? You get faculty who work in the field, and they care. Like, I had Parada for 4 years, who, plain and simple, was on my ass for 4 years with everything. Like, I'll give a great story. When I first started here, and I started writing for the newspaper, The Impact, I wanted to do sports. That's all I cared about was sports. That's all I cared about. And we go to our first meeting, and, you know, he goes through and saying who's doing what and everything. And I remember going, oh, I want sports. He goes, no. All right. I'm out cursing in my chair for the next hour of class. And we go down, and I got to the class and go, why not? And he goes to me, you know sports. The main thing for you is you do enough with that where I want you well-rounded, where down the road you can do news, you can do entertainment, you can do sports, you can do everything. Because the more you know, the more well-rounded of an individual you become, the more opportunities you get. And that's what Mercy College, especially this department, gives you. I mean, you guys know, I'm sure the equipment is like 1,000 times better than what I had to do. I mean, I'm jealous in that sense. But thanks to that, my first story I ever did with The Impact was on a nursing student named Antonio who had PTSD, who was in the Iraq War, and PTSD. And we talked about how he had to struggle with the change in life from going from being in the war zone to school. And you learned the differences of everything he had to go through. And I'm glad to hear that down the road he actually ended up, pursuing his degree, finishing his degree, and he's now a successful nurse. I apologize, I don't remember the hospital. I probably should look that up. But he's successful doing what he wanted to do. And thanks to that, I realized that, you know what, sports wasn't all I needed to do. I could do anything. And that's where I got my internship at News Radio 880 WCBS. And through there, it got my foot in the door, which for you guys, I mean, that's the most important thing you need to do is get your foot in the door once you get closer and closer to graduating. Just out of curiosity, by show of hands, how many of you guys here have either done an internship or about to do an internship or anything like that? And that's how it should be. Talking to Lou recently, he told me you guys get 3 shots, right? 3 shots to do an internship. Do it. It's the most important thing you can do. Even if you don't, let's say, I'll use myself as an example. Let's say I did News Radio 880 and I went there and I realized, oh man, this is not for me. This is awful. This is terrible. You know what? Strike one, I go somewhere else. Because the key then is I know not to pursue that and I can go pursue other things. The internship is the most important thing you can do. First and foremost, the company you work for, they get free labor. So they love you more than anything else. But for you guys, you get to learn what you love, whether it's sports, music, writing. You can pursue that. And that's all you can ask for is just the extra opportunities. Because the second you get in the field, we were just discussing before again, you could go to Harvard, have a 4.0, know everything textbook. You can come here, have similar grades, everything, and people can go, oh, Harvard, amazing, Ivy. But the second you put somebody head to head, and the person who went here knows what they're doing compared to the person at Harvard, because all they know is the textbook. But you guys had the experience of everything from behind the video cameras to photography, the writing. You're gonna get that job because your foot's in the door and you have the experience, which is what Mercy, you know what? It's what gave it to me. And I'm very blessed. I have a career, not a job. There's 2 different things in the world. You have a job where you wake up and you go, all right, I gotta go to work, whatever. Then there's a career where you bounce out of bed and you go, I wanna go to work. I wanna make a difference. I wanna have fun. And that's what I got from here more than anything, which I hope you guys do as well. Because you know what? Especially when you work in media, it's supposed to be fun. It's TV, it's music, it's whatever you guys wanna do. And that's the beauty of this campus that I gotta admit, is you can pursue that by here. And man, I hope everybody takes full advantage of it. It's what you should. And as much as I don't want to, blow your ego up more and more than it is, but I'm not the person I am today without Mike Parada. I really appreciate that. And most importantly, I'm sure you guys know you have certain professors who you're with. Take advantage of it, especially here where they all have experience in the field. They know what they're talking about, and if you're with them through and through, they're gonna help you get the job and the career that you're looking forward to. And I wish all you guys the best of luck, and hey, Maybe you guys come up here, do a really awkward speech, and write something out that you didn't even look at as you came up here. Thank you, guys. You're next? Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Love you, brother.
You heard it. You heard it from the man who went through the program himself, how to go about doing it. You know, it's an interesting story. I had an experience myself several years ago when a student was going on an internship, and she was so nervous, and she called me, and she said, I think I'm doing okay, but it's down between me and somebody else. I made it through the rest of the group. I said, so don't worry about it, you know, keep going. She goes, yeah, but that person's graduated from Yale, or that person's a Yale student. I said, all right. I said, don't worry about it. You know what you know. And turns out she got the internship. She ended up getting the job eventually, and she's a producer somewhere at one of the stations. But, you know, it's what Tom is saying. It's how you aggressively seek out your education is what puts you past everyone else. Okay, getting to the student awards. I know you're patiently waiting for that. The next man needs no introduction. Our department chair, our advisor to the Impact newspaper. Please welcome Professor Michael Parado to hand out the journal.
Oh, man. Tom, I don't know what to say to that one, man. That was, okay. I'd like to thank the Provost's office for attending. I'd like to thank the Dean's office for attending. Tom, you were a pleasure as a student. It's been great forming a friendship with you all these years, so that meant a lot. I don't think we've ever had a guest speaker give the honest speech that Ms. Kessler gave us. I mean, the one thing you know when you're going to get a journalist as a guest speaker, you are going to get a story, and you are going to get, hopefully, some honesty. And that was the most honest speech I've heard coming up here in 13 years, so that was outstanding. So I really hope, everyone's path here is different, and like Tom had said, you got to get your foot in the door, and once you do, you got to make some noise and make it happen. So every year when I come up here, I tell you that I'm not going to talk a lot, and then 20 minutes later, I'm still up here. So we're going to shorten that tonight. I'm going to tell you one quick anecdote, and then we're going to get to the awards. Polanco, you're here. I didn't know you. So I'll tell you a quick story. So January 15th, 2018, a reporter for Newsweek wrote a story about the ongoing struggle in Puerto Rico. And that story got so much attention nationally that lots of people were actually citing this story in their initial reports of how to report about the situation in Puerto Rico. A day after the story broke, that story was retweeted by Dan Rather. And Dan Rather wrote, "Please thank this reporter's name for her important reporting. Good journalism is the part of what unites us all." And why I'm telling you that story is because that reporter is Maria Elena Perez, Mercy College, class of 2014, who wrote that story. That's from this college, that's from this school, that's from this program. Okay? So a lot of times students come in and they think, when they're nearing graduation, they say, can I really do this? And the answer is yes, you can. Yes, you can do this. So on to the awards. I wanted to start with, usually we award one student with a Achievement in Journalism Award, and this year we're actually going to award two. So I want to first talk about this first student who is a very naturally gifted writer. He is often the first person who wants the hard stories, who wants to put his neck out there, who is hungry for that front page, who is hungry to make a difference. I see him when I'm leaving the office at 9, 10 o'clock at night. He's in the journalism lab working, and he's determined. He knows what he wants, and almost every single time when he's writing and he hands in a story, I know that this is going to be a really good story. Determination, hard work, it does pay off. So our first winner in the Excellence of Journalism Award is one of our associate editors for The Impact, is Matthew. Our other winner has really, I call her a trendsetter for The Impact, because 2 years ago, the college newspaper, we were sitting there and we said, we really need to up our production. We really need to start producing video. We really need to get more of a digital presence. We really need to start putting some news packages together. And this student, along with others, really were our first kind of our digital video team that we kind of put together. And to think from where we were a year ago to now, what a leader. She takes charge of any type of production. She knows where the camera's to be set up. She knows where to put the journalists. She knows what she wants in editing. And just to give you an example of just how determined this woman is, in January, on a Thursday night or a Monday night or whatever, or a weekend night, she was at a relative's funeral. And after that funeral, she then packed up her car with another journalist from The Impact, drove to Washington, D.C., and actually reported on President Trump's inauguration that she received press credentials for. So she went to a relative's funeral, and then she said, okay, but now I have reporting to do, and she got in a car, and she went down there. So a year later, here we are. She's producing great content all the time. She's going to have a great future. So our other winner of Excellence in Journalism, Chloe Dijon.
Get right in their face, don't worry. Block everybody's view, it doesn't matter. Get the shot you need to get.
Okay, I'll do the rest as quick as I can.
Got a big stack there.
I know. Well, these next awards are for news reporting. Students take news reporting to learn ethics, to learn how to construct a story, to learn interviewing, and they take those skills and they produce their own stories, they write their own stories, and then some of them go on to work for the college paper and become strong model reporters. So we are going to introduce their names for achievement, and that's not that category. Let's try it back. Nope. Sometimes, never happens, but there's dead air in the media, and you just kind of have to wing things. Okay, so here's one. Chelsea Martin. Chelsea.
There we go.
Good catch. Good catch. Good catch. I wanted to test you. You are on point. Okay, that's Colin. That's Colin. Andrea Loiza. Huh?
Those people are not here.
They're another category, so that's okay.
Oh.
We can get it later. We can get it later. This next student I'm going to bring up, I'm going to give 2 awards to. She is our current managing editor for The Impact. She is winning awards for 2 categories. First is entertainment writing. She is currently an employee of Complex Magazine. She's doing an excellent job writing music and entertainment, and she has kind of put some fashion and flavor into The Impact as a great leader over the past year. And her other award is for exploratory journalism. Nora has a great eye and for news and finding stories and really reporting stories that kind of the average person wouldn't pick up. So for exploratory journalism and entertainment journalism is Nora Grace Arroyo. Okay. Uh, Every reporter on the staff writes their own column, and this is kind of one of those very dangerous things as a faculty advisor when students can write about anything they want. And for some students, they've complained their whole lives, say, I only want to write, and they say, okay, now you can write about what you want, and they're like, well, I don't know what to write about now. But these following students certainly know what they want to write about. They are regularly writing some very interesting columns that keeps our traffic up digitally and frankly keeps people coming back to the website all the time. So I want to bring all three up at the same time. I want to bring up Matthew Reich, I want to bring up Mark McCarthy, and I'd like to bring up Liv Meyer. Don't worry about which one you got. Just rock it later.
Yeah. Group shot, guys. Get in there.
Should I do that?
Wait, Persian show.
Let me know when.
Okay, see you.
Awesome.
Okay, so this next category is for digital journalism. There was a digital journalism class, and there was also the students who were working kind of for the college paper and the work they're putting in digitally. So we kind of combined both of the concepts, and I'm going to kind of read their names, and just for the sake of time, we can all come up and take one group picture. So Kristen Millard. Liv Meyer, Kayla Simus, Tori Mitchell, and Chelsea Martin.
You good? Sorry, ready?
Okay, sports reporting is a fun class. People are always like, I love sports, so I can be a sports reporter. And it doesn't work that way. Yeah. Well, Tom is one of the rare, difference between, knowing sports and reporting sports. And sometimes the fandom comes in, sometimes they think that, well, I know the game, so it's like people think they could be a movie critic just because they've gone to the movies. It doesn't work that way. Knowing the ethics of sports reporting is a tough thing, and once you start analyzing, realizing that you're telling a story through sports. Sports is just now one of my favorite quotes. It's by Chief Justice Warren, where he said, the front page chronicles man's defeats, but the sports page chronicles man's triumphs. And that's always a quote I like to instill in sports reporters. You always try and find the best of what's in the game. So I'm going to bring up some students, but this first student is actually, want to bring up, we're going to take our picture together for sports reporting. She's actually our sports editor for the Impact for the past year, and she's done a great job. And not only that, she's actually a member of the soccer team that went to the Final Four representing Mercy College this year. So not only is she doing great writing sports, but she's also a member of maybe the best soccer team that we've ever put together. So that's Jessica Brown. Siobhan Hurst. Siobhan here? Okay. Yes, just stay there. No one can hear us whispering. Brandon Brims. Brandon. Joe Galgano. Karen Polanco. Daniel Saraski, member of the volleyball team. Michael no, I don't think Mike is here. And that's it. Okay. It's our sports team, folks. Oh, I got to give you one of these, huh?
You go first? Okay.
Thank you, ladies. Okay. Moving on. Next category is feature writing, which, as a reporter, was kind of always my favorite part of being a reporter, to meet someone interesting and to tell the story in a certain way that your readers aren't really used to. You meet someone interesting, or you meet someone who's not a newsmaker, and you really kind of dissect who they are in life, how they, how they got to where they were, and you'd be surprised how many times after, people always think, oh, I'm not interesting, you don't want to do a story about me. When you tell them, listen, this is important, the world needs to know about you, you'd be surprised how often they turn around and say, thank you for doing that, it's something for posterity. So we're going to call them up and then take our picture. And Nicole Acosta. Is Danielle Gray here? Danielle Gray? No? Okay. Angela Popovic. Michael Dunning. Sandra Romero. Liv Meyer. Stephen Lyons. Actually, Steve, I think that was a misprint. Jack Hazan. Olivia Basket Naranjo. Is Olivia here? No. Sydney Haynes. Okay, picture. Then you're out.
Which way would be? Let me see. I think maybe this way.
Just get them. You don't need.
Oh, it's not okay. You should lay down in the front.
Yeah, you can hold. Just like hold. Okay. See you. Okay, everyone, that's it for me. Louis Grasso.
Up next, we have the Film Studies Awards. Professor Stephen DeRosa started teaching film studies for us about a year or so ago. He's doing a wonderful job. He also is the Director of English at the Learning Center. Did I get that right? So close enough. Please welcome Professor Stephen DeRosa. That's right. Sorry, Steve. No trouble. What are you the director of?
Associate Director,
Associate Director, okay.
CAEI. But we might try to change that because it's a bit of a mouthful and no one knows what it means. Anyway, before I go into that tangent, let's get to tonight. It's great to be here. Thank you, Professor Grasso. Thank you, Dean Joshi. Thank you, Professor Parada. I don't know where he stepped away from his chair. Oh, he's back. Thank you, Professor. Hiding in the wings. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. The Wizard of Oz reference there. So yeah, I'm the film guy, so you're going to get a movie reference or two. Film studies should be about ideas, right? Not about the memorization of names, dates, and filmographies. Each year, I'm continually impressed by the work of our media studies students, and I say media studies students collectively, not just those who are in the film and culture concentration, because I get a lot of students from radio and television, from journalism, and across the disciplines. And as Ms. Kessler said, it's important to be well-rounded. It's important to have that background where you touch on every single area, as Tom said as well, that you don't just you want to look for every opportunity you can, so that's why it's very important to take courses in each one of the concentrations. And so I'm always impressed by the work of our students in each one of the disciplines here. This academic year has been particularly rewarding, I feel, for the film and culture program, the film and culture concentration. With the support of Dean Joshi and Professor Grasso, I've been able to take my students to see films that we study in our courses the way that we're meant to be seen, on a big screen in a movie theater with an audience. So we've been going to a local cinema that has a film club that meets every Wednesday, and so my students have been able to engage in discussions about the importance of film, about how film is a reflection of our culture and vice versa, how it enables us to grapple with contemporary issues. So it's not just about, in this case, this academic year, I taught a topics class called Hitchcock Disciples. This semester, I'm teaching a course, Hollywood's Golden Age. So one might think that you're just watching old movies and talking about them, and it's more than that. So we can see how, we look at gender issues in particular. We look at race and class and economic struggles. We look at issues that are, very relevant to today, globally, and that's very important. So it's important that you could see how it will, you could bring this to journalism, you could bring this to radio and television. Also in my courses, we are now, if those of you who attended the Media Studies Showcase in November, you got to see an example where I worked with students to produce a video, so it became a document as to what was going on in the course, what students took away, what students learned. And I think that was an important contribution to that, was working with the students who came out of radio and television. One student who was a film and culture major. And both in the case of, we were discussing Alfred Hitchcock, and you can see that in this case we had someone who took Hitchcock, looking at him from his technical expertise, his technical prowess as a filmmaker, and another who talked about thematically how important and how relevant his films are. In the case, she really went off on how the women in his films are so vital and so important. So it's very relevant, the film and culture concentration. So tonight I'm going to give awards to, they're right here, excuse me, students that are recognized by myself and my colleagues who also teach in the concentration. And we're going to begin with, from the Hitchcock Disciples course. The envelope. I don't believe she's here. Helen Wilkin is not here. Okay, right. Caroline Newman is here. And Macy Clark.
You can get in there. Okay. Go ahead. Smile. Awesome.
Congratulations. Okay, oops. Okay, these are from Hollywood's Golden Age. And we have Timothy Fox. Taryn Flaherty. And Kevin Lopez.
You guys ready for a picture? Smile.
Well done. Okay. From the Film and Culture class. I didn't see him. Darian Green. Is he here? He's not here. Didn't see Darian. And Helen Wilkin, who is again not here. And that's all I have. Sorry. Congratulations. Thank you, guys.
You done, Steve? All right, Professor DeRosa. Let's hear it. Okay. Up next, we have Professor Mark Palmieri. He's been teaching theater courses, among other courses. He's been here for about a year now. He's doing a wonderful job, and I could see what's happening with students in the classroom. They're becoming more comfortable with speaking, with presenting, and I say, are you taking any speech courses or theater courses? Yes, Professor Palmieri. I said, yes, I can tell. Please welcome Professor Mark Palmieri.
So thank you, and yes, I am new here and didn't know of the Quill Awards, and when Professor Grasso approached me to tell me about the Quill Awards and explained that I get to choose some students to honor with this award out of my performance classes, I felt out of some kind of, I don't know, rookie hubris or something that this was my chance to discover people, discover some students and bring them into the light. And I went to Lou and I said, well, I've come up with 3 students for you, Reyes Betancourt, and Professor Grasso said, yeah, I know him. Danielle Gray, yeah, I know her, right? And Deanna Capers, oh yeah, I know her. I soon learned that not only did he know who they were, he knew all about these students, all about their dreams, all about their talents, all about the wonderful things that they were asking of their college career. And I just wanted to comment to the students that that's the kind of department this is. That's the kind of college that you go to. And as someone pretty fresh from the outside, I can testify that it's not like this everywhere, and I think that's important to realize. And I'm really honored to be part of it. The classes in which I met these students, elements of theater and play directing, performance is a key aspect to both of these classes. One in play directing as the goal of a process of directing, the other as a part of a collaborative art form in elements of theater, a more comprehensive approach to studying the art form. Now, all 3 of these students are the kinds of students I kind of rely on emerging early in the semester, students who, by their willingness to jump in and participate and lead with charisma and trust in what I'm selling and what I'm offering. And in performance class, sometimes that can be a bit of a challenge. All 3 of these students really elevated the discourse in the room, and with their talent and willingness to experiment really made my job easier and more pleasant, and were great examples to everyone else in the room. Now, not one of the 3 is here right now. And I want to report that as an indication of how well drama and performance is going at Mercy College right now. First, they came for the first 25 minutes or so, and that makes me feel that my values that were really honed as a 20-year member of Actors Equity are being pressed upon them to attend anything that offers free food, and they did. And they got out in time to get to the Irvington Townhouse Theater, which is the real indication of how well things are going. Danielle Gray has an internship there. Reyes Betancourt has a paying gig there, working in PR. And all 3 are involved in the drama club, the Mercy Drama Club showcase, which was offered to them, the club, by this theater because they represented Mercy College and themselves so beautifully. They're over there for a tech rehearsal right now, so that's why they're not here. So in some sense, this is good news that they are not here. So I congratulate them from afar. I will be heading over there right now and attending that rehearsal. I believe I am also presenting some Quill Awards in something that I do not teach right now, Fundamentals of Writing for Film and TV, Francesca Gonzalez. Congratulations. Okay?
Sorry. No, I thought he was going to do them all at once. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Smile. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. That's Danielle's. I'll carry that over with me tonight. Here it is. Sorry. Fundamentals of Writing for Film and TV, Stephen Lyons. Picture. We're just meeting. Nice to meet you. Pleasure. Let's pose for a picture. All right. Thank you very much. Got everybody here, right? I'll take these to them.
You did a good job. Thank you so much. Just put them on the table. Okay. Up next, we're doing a video editing and radio production. Professor John Masevich has been teaching at Mercy College for many, many years. He's also offers his assistance as the technical coordinator, and he assists with the installation of equipment. Actually, he does all the installation by now of the equipment, and he's always telling me, look at this, look at that, we got to buy this, we got to buy that. Please welcome Professor John Masevich. You've got radio production in advance, and then you have video editing down there.
Yeah, thanks. So, gotta start wearing these things lately. So radio, I'll be real quick. Many of you know radio production, we take radio the first level, kind of try to teach you the rules, some aesthetics, some techniques, and in the advanced levels we learn how to break them and apply them. So right now, reading this a little cold, so my radio people, and I just want to tell my Wednesday advanced radio class, it's not a long list, and gee, I wonder why I couldn't figure out. We haven't had that much work. Maybe I shouldn't admit that out loud. We've had plenty, just haven't had a lot of time for playback. So I promise, advanced radio people, if any of you, a couple more weeks, the real payoff comes. And if in the next few weeks, because I didn't call you tonight, remind me next year, I promise you, I'll make it up to you next year. All right? But so my radio awards go to Jack Hazen. Thank you. And next up, Angela Popovic. Good job. And we have a name that we'll probably be hearing a lot, and if we haven't already heard a lot of tonight, we'll certainly be hearing a lot of in the semesters to come, Christy Harrison. And somebody else who's been almost working himself to death, Matthew Williams. Okay. And oops. Found these. I could have probably killed two birds with one stone. But like I said, names you'll be hearing again and again. Once again, for advanced, this is actually now the advanced level, Christy Harrison. And bringing it back full circle, Jack Hazen. Okay. So, editing, the other side of my life. Basically, editing just like to remind everybody, editing is up here, you know, and I sometimes scare my classes, especially my first level classes, because sometimes I'll bring a hammer in and kind of teach people how to, well, they see a hammer come out and they don't know what to expect, right? So I just basically tell them, you know, teach them quickly how to drive a nail, pull it out. Hey, you know how to drive a nail. Does that make you a carpenter? Oh, I know how to edit. No, you know, maybe you know software. You know, it's up here. It's the knowledge you gain. And that's always what we try to do with all of our classes. Equipment's equipment. It's going to come and it's going to go. Lou can tell you, over the course of the years, we went from separate machines for recorders down to, you know, I hate to say it, but, you know, I've been on any number of press conferences, these things have come out. Yeah, the world's changing. So, but what is amazing is the way we consume is changing. Yeah, just look at the production levels and look at the expectations now. I mean, oh yeah, we stream stuff, we watch it on Netflix. Yeah, guess what? There's still production. You know, stuff still has to be put together, and editing is where we make it or break it. All right, that's my humble opinion. But so once again, you're going to hear some names repeated from me or from other awards tonight. But Francesca Gonzalez. And we have, once again, Christy Harrison. Now, I may run some of these backwards, but let me just move on. Advanced levels are kind of the same as the intro levels. If anything, we kind of teach you the basic rules of the road, and then we try to learn how to apply them, break them, and bring new stuff in. And we have one of my friends from Oregon. Did I say it right? Caroline. From Oregon. Where is she? She ducked out on me. She's here. She's networking. She's networking. Good for her. Let's not tell her. Okay. Oh, another person that I'm sure we hear a lot from, and we'll continue to hear a lot from. Chloe DiGianni. Okay. Ooh. And bringing it home, we have, once again, for advanced level, we have Francesca Gonzalez.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. And to conclude, I'll give you 3 guesses. Christy Harrison. Okay, and now your host. And by the way, before he comes up, I just want to say something. Maybe somebody said it earlier tonight, but there would really be no Quill Awards without this guy. As much as we all participate, he's the mover and shaker. And I'm going to tell you something. I've known him a very long time. We've been friends a long time, and I could tell you stories. I won't. I'll embarrass him. But I'm going to tell you, he puts his heart and soul into this, and it means a hell of a lot. And you being here, and the fact that even some folks stuck in for free food means a tremendous amount. All right, so now for television, your host, Lou Grasso.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, John. I appreciate the kind words. I know John since the mic's not on anymore, huh? I've known John since 1987, and our paths have crossed many, many times in the professional world. And so it was a great opportunity to be able to hire him to work with us in the studio. So when we say we know each other for a long time, we do. And I've worked for him, he's worked for me, and we still go, it's just a great opportunity. He hires students as freelancers where he works, and he makes sure they're interns first, so he's able to, help them along and make sure they're the right people. He really does a lot for the students as well. Don't kid yourself. And this Quill Award would not happen at all if it were not for the students. So that's the real thing. But I'm giving out the last set of awards, and I teach television production. We have about 8 levels of television production here at the college. That's where a lot of our students are in the program. And this is a level 2 television production class. It's called Television Studio Production. It's where students are working for the first time with a script. They're working with storyboards. Their performance is not only in front of the camera, but more so behind the camera in the control room, directing, assistant directing, running sound, creating graphics for the performers out in front of the camera. So it's television studio production. And the awards for that are Raymer Cardona, television studio production. Quick.
Awesome.
Raymer directed a wonderful piece a couple of weeks ago. We were working with the School of Health and Natural Sciences, and I said, "You want to direct this?" And he said, "All right." And it was real. It was the real deal. It was really a good thing, and he was able to handle it, and I was very impressed with him. But I kind of knew he was going to do that anyway, that well. Kevin Lopez. Kevin here? Kevin's not here? No Kevin. Sorry. Danielle, she's at the theater right now. Danielle Gray is at the theater. Danielle Gray again. Oh, wait, I'm reading Mark Palmieri's awards. How did they get in mine? Okay. So television field production. Okay, so we're working on television field production right now. Television field production is where students get the opportunity to work outside of the studio. Now, what that means is they're working in an environment that's not controlled. They cannot control the lighting, they cannot control the sound, like the microphone doesn't work anymore, right? I can't control the sound. They can't control the environment. So they have to make do with what's happening. They have to add extra lighting or hide microphones, portable microphones, in addition to working with a fictional narrative script, something that someone had written. It's called television field production. And the awards there are Caroline Newman. Caroline Newman? Caroline also has an award for advanced video editing from Professor John Masevich. You walked out. Hopefully you got Sarah Lee Kessler's phone number, and she's going to give you an internship or a job or something like that. Nope. Matthew Reich, television field production. Matthew Reich. We had a lot of fun with Matthew last semester in television field production. He did a lot of on-camera work as well as off-camera work. And what do we got here? We got next. We got Shaquille Hawkins. Shaquille Hawkins. Shaquille. Come on. Shaquille is part of a trio, which you'll be hearing from later on. Broadcast journalism is another class I teach. Broadcast journalism is actually what Sarah Lee Kessler does. She teaching students basically how to look at stories, how to write stories for video presentation, what you see on television, the 1.5, 2-minute news packages you see at night during the news. That's what broadcast journalism is about. It's a field production class. Again, it's not in a studio, so you don't know what's going to happen when you get to the location. You have to be prepared with backup batteries, lights, microphones, cameras, extra recording media. You really don't know. And you have to be fast. You have to be compact. You have to get in, get the interview, and get out before the interviewee even knows you were there. Broadcast journalism. Matt Williams is here. Matt Williams. It's for the wall in the media studio. You know what? The people that are in the media studies studio, you know that. The pictures are for the wall. Kevin Lopez is not here. And we have Denzel Walters. We'll do it again later. We'll do one again later. We'll do one again later.
Yeah.
Denzel is part of the trio. And the other part of the trio, where's the other part of that trio? I want to get the other part of the trio up. Where's the other part of the trio? Serene Guy, that's the other part of the trio. Had to get to Serene's award. Serene, Denzel, Quill, they're the power trio up there in the media studies suite. Okay, Ed Zekas. I'm sorry, Ed. How do you say it? Ed Zekas. How do you say it? Zekas. Thank you. Edward Zekas. Next, Estefania Salinas. You're getting there. Take a picture. There's your mom. Look at your mom.
Smile.
Wait, this is
Okay.
important.
All right,
It's
smile.
important. Get your mom's picture.
Oh, wait, hold on. Smile.
We'll take more later. I promise. And how did this guy shoot? Didn't I already give you the Shaquille Hawkins, broadcast journalism? Didn't I? That was not the same class, right? All right, this actually, is the conclusion of the media of the Quill Awards. I'm really grateful for all of you coming here. I'm grateful for the students, really, like I said earlier, without the students, we don't have a Quill Awards, we don't have a program. But this program's been in existence now for 35 years. It's just a testament to show you that it's here, it's been here, and hopefully it'll continue to be here. And that's because of the students that come to this college and they tell their friends about the program, and they go on and they're successful in the field, do internships and get jobs, etc. And Tom Fenn is only one example. Every year I bring up another example of someone that's very successful in the field that was a student in this program. So I want to thank everyone who attended, the family members as well. I want to thank the speakers. Well, she had to leave, but Dean Joshi is still here. Please give a quick warm welcome for Dean Joshi. She had a lot of words of wisdom in her opening comments, and I really listened, and I thought they were really right on, especially when you complimented me. And thank you all for attending. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Which picture we need to do next? Shaquille.